almost the end of the year. Welcome to Tokyo Tuesday. If you're a regular viewer, welcome back. Now, I wasn't originally going to do a video on this topic, but I put up a podcast about a week ago talking about Christmas versus New Year's in Japan. And after the number of emails I got from you guys requesting a video on it, I kind of had to do one. So we're going to try and have some fun with this today. Now, these are a little more Christmas-esque. Alright, now because there's a lot of information to cover this, I'm going to try and make every single point short and sweet, starting with Christmas versus New Year's. In Japan, Christmas is really small. We'll talk about that later, but New Year's is everything. I want to show you some stuff in here, so let's go this way. Alright, this one works. It's Christmas-esque. So I'm originally from Canada, and in Canada, Christmas is family time above all else. But here in Japan, New Year's is family time, and it's all about the relaxation and the food. So I've come into a Japanese department store in the hopes of maybe finding some of that New Year's food to actually show you guys. During New Year's, there are two meals that are really popular. One is Osechi and the other is Ozoni. These right here are some examples of Osechi. I'm actually in a totally different department store right now in a totally different part of Japan. Look how beautiful some of these are. Each individual ingredient inside the Osechi bento box is meant to represent something. Like, for example, these yellow kuri here, these are meant to represent money and wealth. But it is getting really hot in here, so let's head back outside. One of the big things that you need to know about New Year's is that Tokyo gets really quiet. Most people leave Tokyo and head back to their hometowns to spend time with their families. And where in the West we decorate for Christmas and all of that, in Japan they're more likely to decorate for New Year's or do one thing that we usually do in the spring, which is cleaning. They do year-end cleaning here in Japan instead of spring cleaning. And outside of that, it's just imagine sitting in a heated table called a kotatsu, eating mikan and watching New Year's TV specials, which are huge, by the way. And on the note of rating Christmas trees, I give this one like a 2 out of 10. Even Charlie Brown's little tree is better than that one. Alright, there should be a Christmas tree in here. Alright, well technically there is, but it's a little small. And surprisingly, that's something that I've noticed over the years living in Japan, that the Christmas decorations are actually a lot less now in 2018 than they used to be back in 2007, and those lights are terrible. Let's get back out there. Like point in case, this entire area right here, a few years ago was all Christmas lights. All up there where you see the greenery was all lit up, and all down here was a giant Christmas display. All these trees were lit up, and this year there's just nothing. And it's like mid-December right now. All of this used to have beautiful Christmas lights. It's just gone. Alright. Oh, they're real. 10 points for real poinsettias. Alright, that one's not too bad. That kind of feels like a proper Christmas tree, so I think I'll give that one about an 8 to 9 out of 10, just in terms of scale. They also tripled up for impact. They really used the corner on this one. I approve of this Christmas tree. Moving on. We were in the middle of talking about New Year's, weren't we? So we've talked about the food, we've talked about Tokyo getting real quiet because everyone goes home to their families, and kids get something called otoshidama. It's where their elders, like grandparents and parents, give them money in the New Year's. Another half decent tree, we'll check it out in a second, but while we're here I wanted to give you guys a little bit of like end of year advice. In Japanese culture, if it's gonna be your last time seeing somebody at the end of the year, you say, Yoi Otoshi o. It basically just means have a good year. And then when you see them at the beginning of the next year, you say Akemashite omedetou. It's Happy New Year. All right, that tree just changed color as I was doing that. All right, they get bonus points for the doves because, well, those are cute. Hi, doves. That's actually pretty good. This Christmas tree, though. All right, not too bad. It also changes colors. I kind of like the fact that it changes colors, but it also feels a little bit gimmicky. So I think at best, I'm only going to be able to give this particular tree about a 7 out of 10. It is nice, though. Back behind me is the Tokyo International Forum, and there should be some Christmas decorations there, so we're gonna go check it out. So far, we're not off to a great start here. Mind you, this flooring is pretty cool. Woo! Look at that. Look at that. You know what? Let's have some fun with this. Now again, the International Forum here is a place that used to have a lot of Christmas decorations, but over the years, once again, it has decreased. Now, in all fairness, a lot of the Christmas decorations decreased after the earthquake for 2 reasons. Number 1, Setsuden, saving energy, and number 2, just overall budget. The scale of the Christmas decorations in Tokyo was off the hook. It was absolutely unbelievable. But again, New Year's is the really big one. And if I'm not mistaken, there's a pretty interesting tree down this way. So let's go check it out. If you've been following the channel for a while, you may recognize this area because in the very first episode ever of Tokyo Tuesdays, Charlotte and I came through here. You can actually walk all the way from Tokyo Station to Ginza, Yurakucho, and beyond underground without stepping a foot outside. Anyways. What's up, little guys? Look, they dance. They do change up the display from time to time on these ones, and they do dance. Until a while ago, they were all sheep. I got it. Next year is the year of the boar, which is why they've changed it up to boar. So I guess they change it up once a year. It's still not exactly Christmassy, so I think at best I'm gonna be able to give it about an 8.5 out of 10, but yeah. All right, that's about the extent of the lights that we're gonna see here. So we're gonna walk over to the Marunouchi area where we can see a lot more. I'm just kind of enjoying this little Christmas walk. Lighting object. Yes, lighting object. Just for the record, there are a lot of Christmas lights around Tokyo. Shinjuku is one of the most beautiful areas to see the Christmas illuminations, as they're called. I personally love the area of Marunouchi. Let me show you this little square here. It's not really a Christmas tree, but it is a Christmas decoration. So I think I'll give it about a 6.5, maybe 7 out of 10. You know what, this seems like a pretty good time to cover New Year's Eve itself. New Year's Eve in Tokyo is quite the experience. It is the only day of the year where the trains don't stop running at all. There is 24-hour train service, and that is worth it all in its own. Areas like Shibuya Crossing do have a big countdown, and there's a big... Again, it's not quite as good now as it was a couple of years ago. It's really heavily policed now, but nonetheless, whether you want to do the Japanese thing and stay at home or visit a temple and or shrine, or whether you want to go out and do a more Western style New Year's Eve, you can do both. Outside of that, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day in its simplest form, New Year's Day, everything in Japan is closed. Like, everything in Japan is closed. A lot of people will visit a temple and or a shrine for something called Hatsumode, and or they'll try and wake up really early in the morning to see the first sunrise, which is called Hatsuhinode. We're learning a lot of vocabulary today. This was not meant to be a Japanese lesson, but there's a lot of stuff in there. Oh, and I almost completely forgot about Toshikoshi Soba. It's like year-end soba. It's supposed to be like the last thing that you eat, and you're not supposed to break the noodles either. It's supposed to be like long life and longevity, and I think that pretty much covers that. And I also realized that I haven't rated these lights yet. This entire street on both sides here in Marunouchi is lit up like this. It's one of my favorite spots every single year just because of how nice and clean it looks. So I would probably give this somewhere between, I was gonna say somewhere between a 9 and a 10, but more likely closer to a 9 because there's no like big beautiful Christmas tree around here. So it's just the lights. Now January 2nd is generally when all the New Year's craziness starts, all the sales happen, all the fukubukuro, all that stuff. But there is actually one really neat thing about January 2nd that not a lot of people talk about, and it's the fact that the Emperor comes out 1 of 2 times during the entire year to do a greeting. So if you were to go to like the Imperial Palace grounds, you can actually see the Emperor come out and greet everyone. I've never done it. I should do it. Stepping aside from New Year's, which I think we've covered fairly well, and touching on Christmas a little bit more. All over Tokyo you will find Christmas lights, or as they're called, illuminations, just like this one. But Christmas is a little bit different here in Japan than it is back home. I'm sure you already know this, but for good measure, I'm gonna cover it anyway. Alright, let me try and cover this short and clear. So back home, at least for me, Christmas is the big family time and New Year's is for friends. In Japan it's reversed. We've seen that in Japan, New Year's is for family, and Christmas, I would say Christmas is for friends, but really Christmas is for, well, dates. More than anything, it's not Christmas itself, it's Christmas Eve. You know, this seems like a pretty good time to tell you guys the story of my first ever major Christmas related culture shock in Japan. Christmas morning, December 25th, I woke up really early and went out to the Ginza area so that I could enjoy the Christmas atmosphere. Instead, you know what I got? I got cleaning crews scraping reindeers off of windows and trees coming down, Christmas lights coming off the buildings. I was not prepared for that in the least. So yeah, Christmas Day in Japan is not as big as Christmas Eve. That pretty much covers Christmas itself, right? It is a very different experience from back home, and it's got a lot of parts that are great in its own, but every now and then, I like to go back. I won't be going back this year. I did go back last year for the first time in 3 years. Now, as I said at the beginning, this was based off of a podcast that I have linked below, which goes over all of this in a lot more detail. So if this is a topic that you're interested in, feel free to check that out. If you do have questions, leave them in the comments below, because you guys know I will be hanging out with you down there. And if you enjoyed this video, it would mean the world to me if you would take the time to give it a like, maybe share it, and you guys know that I will see you again real soon. I'm just gonna turn the camera over to these lights. It's a Christmas egg. Give it 7 stars.